on time thing is going to be.
It's the Intergalactic Soul, the Honorable Brother, the Revolutionary yourself, Darius Lockhart, and I'm here to tell you to watch Powerbombshells every Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern on the Fight Game Media YouTube channel. That's right, every Sunday at 1 p.m., and that's on time, every time, because when we stand together, what time is it? That's right, it's nation time.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 97 of Powerbombshells. I am Sam, that is Mel. We're just two broads talking about the wrestling that we watch, and we wanted to wish everybody a Merry Christmas Eve or Hanukkah or whatever it is, or Sunday.
I think this is like the wrap up. I think Hanukkah started like last Friday or something, so we're getting close. 8 days.
Yes. So we wanted to wish you all of that. And then if you don't celebrate anything at all, happy Sunday. Thank you for being here. Or if you're watching on the replay later on this week, thank you for happy whatever day it is. And I hope that you have a wonderful day. And thank you for spending some time with us. We appreciate it. And I wanted to, before we get too far, Daza very kindly wrote us a comment before the show and said, I'm afraid I won't be able to join live today due to family. Just want to wish you all a Merry Christmas and thank you for making me welcome and valued in this little community. Your show is the best. And I thought that was such a sweet thing. And thank you, Daza. Thank you for coming and being part of our little family and our little community and being so and just participating with us and talking with us and coming every week and showing us so much love. And to everybody who's here, we truly appreciate it. Thank you so much. And we hope that you have a Merry Christmas and look forward to seeing you whenever you're available. We will actually, we'll talk about it here and again. We're actually, this week we're doing two shows because Saturday is World's End. And so we will be here for our pre show. So we won't be here on New Year's Eve like we had thought, and then we were like, oh, that's right. I was like, wait a minute, because we were like, oh, we'll do Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve, and then we were like, no, we won't. I was like, World's message Mel, and I was like, oh, World's Ends on Saturday this time. It's not a Sunday pay-per-view. So I was like, we'll be doing the pre show on Saturday, so you get to see us. You get to hang out with us twice this week.
Yay! I mean, that's
Merry Christmas. That's our Christmas present to you. You get to hang out with us twice.
And Happy New Year. You get two shows, one holiday, one jam-packed wrestling holiday weekend, and yeah, I mean, what else can you really ask for? I think, you know. This seems like the best case scenario, honestly. And you got your Sunday off to do whatever you want, so that you can get ready for if you do anything
you're getting into, or whether that's shenanigans at home or shenanigans out, just whatever you're doing, be safe.
I've reached the age of I've never been a big go out girl. Like, there were times in my life when I went out, but when I was like in the ages that I was supposed to, but in general it was never like a big deal to me. I like to go to wrestling shows or go to music shows or whatever else.
Yeah, we would do both. Like, sometimes we would go out because we used to have a friend that was a musician, so if he was playing, like, our group would like go out to wherever he was at, and then we tried, like, we went to a couple of different things, and sometimes we just do stuff at home. And then, like, a few years ago, we just kind of there was like, or it's just like the plans that were out there. Like, there was like none of these options. I was like, I want to do any of this stuff. I was like, this stuff all sucks. Because we went to, like, a friend of mine, and we went to one that was like in a hotel lobby thing, and you had to pay for a ticket and all that stuff. It was boring as hell. It was a waste of money, and I locked my keys in my car and had to have AAA come tow me at like 1:00 in the morning on New Year's Day.
Weird car issues.
I do. Yeah, it seems to always be around the holidays, because I was telling Mel before we went on air that as if I have an old car, but I sometimes forget how old, because I haven't had it the entire length of its age, and so sometimes I forget. And then so I was already having a part replaced next Wednesday, a very expensive part, and then it decided for Christmas that part wasn't good enough. It also needed a new battery.
It's times like these that I wish that we could like transport things, because
Bob
works in the stuff that would help you.
Right?
And he's like, totally. I'm like, this is so frustrating.
Friday was an ordeal because my car is so old, and the way the battery is set up, like, was out of place, and they thought they could do it, and then 2 hours later, they're like, nope, actually, we can't. We're not allowed to anymore. So then I had to call a place and have them install the battery. And then I guess he misunderstood me on the phone because I told him what happened. And I guess he misunderstood me and he thought I needed to buy a battery. And I was like, no, I have it because it's cheaper than what you, I'm going to be like, it's cheaper than what you charge. And I was like, and so they installed, so the guy was very kind and installed the battery. It took him like 45 minutes just because it's very difficult to get to my battery and stuff. And so, yeah, it was a whole ordeal. And so I just moved all my Christmas shopping to, I had some of my Christmas shopping done, but I had to wait, for a paycheck. And so I was like, well, I'll go Friday. And my car was like, no, you won't. They're like,
your universe was like,
you're going, I need a new battery.
Nope. Merry Christmas. We're getting in your way. Life is getting in your way. You don't get to tell life what to do. Life tells you what to do.
I know. It was bossing me around. I was like, fine, it's the end of the year, but whatever.
I'm really psyched because my brewery, our local brewery, StarCraft, they are doing a mead now. And Bob and I don't like champagne. We're like, why do we? But we like are the people like we'll buy champagne on New Year's because like tradition.
Yeah.
We're like, why do we do this? Like we always do this and we don't like it. And it's like
Nikki and I actually looked at yesterday. I was at a store and I almost got some Prosecco and I was like, but I already had, because I had gone to the ABC store a couple of weeks ago before I was finding, when my mom was sick, I went to go get her Jack Daniels to kind of like break up the stuff. And I was like, I'm going to get some Baileys. They were out of Baileys, which
I believe it.
Like, they had like the really big $50 bottles. And I was like,
it's the time of year. No. I mean,
no.
And but we do
Nikki
mead.
Nikki
and I mead on New Year's Eve. So that's what instead of, because we were like, wait a minute. So, and we have a guy that has a liquor store that's got like all kinds of stuff and we try and go local. But because the brewery is doing mead now, we were like, oh, bummer, because they don't we're bottling it and stuff.
Sure.
So, so the one of the, because we're basically like, I mean, we've been there since the beginning and it's a family place. So the one of the brothers is like, I'm gonna like do a couple little growlers for you guys and do the bottles, and I'm gonna sanitize them. And so we get to our mead this year is gonna be made by our brewery, and he's like doing a couple bottles for us, and it was like, oh, because we told him. Because mead takes a long time. It's really like, I mean, oh my gosh, the process is, and he's been telling me, I realized suddenly I was like, oh man, this is like, I know the whole storyline of this mead because we would sit down and chat about it because I'm interested in the stuff and he'll talk to you and it's really cool. He's got a podcast too. He's wants to have me on.
Awesome.
Yeah, except they go 10-1 and they try different brews. And so I'm like, yeah, because I need to show up to my show. Like
that would be fun.
Well, I said, I was like I need to, and Daryl was like, oh, we wouldn't get you shit-faced. I'm like, that is the biggest lie ever. That is like, I'm a pro wrestling fan. That is the worst lie I've ever heard in my life.
Josiah said you mead that for Christmas.
Yes, yeah.
And thank you for Josiah who's here today, and also Eddie is here, and
we have all kinds of fun people here in our chat right now.
And thank you for Brad for letting me know that Hanukkah ended last Thursday. So happy belated Hanukkah to.
Oh my God, I feel like I'm ashamed. I should know my family my sister and my niece still celebrate because. As kids, my dad's side of the family is Jewish. So we would do Hanukkah and we would light the menorah and we would sometimes not too many gifts because gifts were part of Santa. But my grandpa, one of my grandpas, he was like so over for Christmas stuff. Like he would decorate his front like he was doing like blow up things and putting elves and stuff on the roof before that was like a major industry. And he had like light up menorahs and he had little stars of David and all this stuff. And my grandmother, I'm not even kidding you. So we would go for Christmas, like a where everyone would gather, but she would call it a Hanukkah bush. Wasn't a Christmas tree. It was a Hanukkah bush.
That's fine. It works.
So I have very fond memories of sort of the crossover of my family being like that. And my sister has our dad's menorah, and she still lights the candles, and they still do the prayers and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And she keeps it in Matilda's like learning and understanding of the world.
Right.
She keeps our Judaism and our history like in her world, so she understands like this is a part of the culture that you came from and all those things. Yeah. It's really cool.
That's very cool.
And so she does what we did growing up. She lights the menorah like we lit the menorah. And not having my dad for so many years and all these things, it's like really important to keep his legacy alive, is to continue to kind of do those things. So it's awesome, but I'm also like, oh shoot, I should know that. I should totally know that. Oh, bad. I'm Jewish, as they say.
Brad said we get presents from Hanukkah Harry.
Harry.
When she was saying that, it reminds me of the Friends episode where they have the holiday armadillo because Ross's son Ben likes Santa more, and so Ross, the only costume he could find was an armadillo, and so it's the holiday armadillo.
I mean, I'm a big fan of Festivus. Festivus is the airing of grievances. I mean, that is classic 90s kids understand like stuff. Yes. I mean,
I didn't watch the show, but I am very well aware of what it is.
Well, so everyone knows it.
That's something that permeated pop culture, whether you know what it like. That's what I was saying.
Yeah, you didn't have to be a Seinfeld. You don't have to be a Seinfeld fan nowadays to know
exactly Festivus. What that is.
It's become. It almost, I mean, I think like anthropologists and stuff would be like, well, technically, it's now a tradition because enough people celebrate it.
Sure.
It's for the rest of us. That's right.
Yeah. Festivus.
I like the idea. I mean, we call it Yule around here. So we use the
I did a little bit of Yule. I know Yule is technically 12 days. For some people, depending on the tradition you follow.
The way you do it, because there's
And so I did a little, like the other night for Yule, like I did a little Yule ritual that I found with a candle that I had left over from my fall altar. Because I didn't set out to do seasonal altars, but like 3 falls ago, I realized that I had stuff like I had it sitting together, and I was like, I could actually make this into an altar. And so it's become a thing now that every season I do an altar. And so I was burning the candles for my fall altar. Normally I'll burn them all the night, but the last night of the season. And this week I was like, I'm going to do it every night leading up to it. Cool. And then the last thing I had was a yellow candle, and I had seen a ritual and it's to use a yellow candle. And I was like, oh, I'll just save that. And so I did a little ritual with it. It was so funny because the way it melted, the candle melted in a perfect yellow circle around the thing. And I was like, look, it looks like the sun. I have a picture I'll have to show you. And I was like,
yeah,
oh my God,
definitely.
Like
I want to see that. That's dope.
So I was like, it wasn't and I was like, it's not like a Yule log or anything like that. Like I didn't do that type of stuff, but I was like, well, I'll try this. And so I was like, I know it's technically 12 nights, but I was like, I really enjoy doing like candle rituals and things like that. So I was like, oh, and it was like, so it was a fun little thing. And I was like, yes, let's call it in the sunlight because it is. And I guess maybe it worked because today it's 61. Today is going to be 61 degrees. It was 60 yesterday.
Which is kind of normal for you, but it's like
not 50? This time of year. It is not. No,
oh, really? Even gets cold for you?
Okay. Yeah, this is not.
It's warm here, and it's making me. We should have blizzard warnings or like wind chill warnings. Instead, for Christmas this year, we have dense fog advisories going on. Bob looked at me and said, Santa is going to need Rudolph this year.
Yeah, for sure.
Like it here in the summer, because you probably have this, it gets so humid that sometimes it'll almost like fog up, and then it'll fog up your windows and the whole thing because you've got the air and the whole thing. So it's like almost like that, but in the winter, so it's weird. I mean,
Oh,
it's a good thing
yeah,
climate
that
change
is
is a
very
myth.
weird.
Otherwise, this might concern people.
Yeah, it would be very concerning to
It'd be
have
concerning. I
It'd be
mean,
very concerning the fact that I am comfortably wearing an elf dress with shorts underneath it.
on Christmas
if
Eve.
if it was real. Good thing I don't have to worry about that.
I mean, yeah, thank God. Or
I want to get
Odin
up here
or
to this
whoever.
comment from Keela, because we
I
are
saw
going to talk
that.
about this shortly. But Keela, who said Merry Christmas, ladies, and Merry Christmas to you, Keela. May the reign of President Tana be long and prosperous.
Go
Yes.
Ace.
President Ace.
5
We are
ever.
very.
I
Yes.
saw that. I was like, yes, yes.
Yeah, I got so distracted by that announcement that I could not pay attention to. I was watching had Rampage on and was trying, like, I was really, because I was like, oh, it's Orange Cassidy versus Rocky. This is going to be a lot of fun.
Yep.
And then I saw something else. I got distracted from, there was something else I was looking at, and then I saw the news about. I saw a tweet and it said Tanahashi is the new president of New Japan, and I was like, what? I go read the article, and I was like, what?
It's just so awesome. He loves wrestling so much. He's like the best ambassador.
Yeah, and I sent it to the group text, and they were like, what? They were like, holy shit. And I was like, yeah, this is. Then the tweets were coming in from, like, so Chris Charlton is like, Tana is my boss, and like all these. And then my timeline was just like nobody. I was like, I have to go back and watch Rampage, because I was like, I can't, like, my head is not wrapping around this information.
I just love it. I just love it. I love it. I dropped this in our thing the other week because I saw this news that they just came out. The Japanese came together. All the promotions came together, and Eddie says, watching Colts and your podcast, perfect Sunday. Yeah, good balance. You get the football on the one side.
I forgot to turn the Panthers game on. They actually won. It was funny. I was on with Mel, and we had just finished the podcast, and I had the Panthers game on, and Mel and I and my sister were talking, and I looked up at the TV, and I was like, there's 1 second to go, and we're about to kick a field goal, and I was like, oh my God, are we gonna win this? And so, like, I made Mel, so I was like, hold on, Mel. they kicked the winning field goal, and I was like, oh my God, we got our second win of the season. Like, it's a Christmas miracle a week early.
I am in the semifinal championship round of our fantasy football fight game media thing today. I'm against one of the Scots. I keep getting their teams
in that league. I think in our fight game media league, I think I'm 9th, but in my other
Ryan
league, Frederick
that I'm playing.
In my other league, I'm in the semifinals as well. So but I was like, of course, in the fight game media league, I'm like 9th, but I was like, in the other one, I'm battling it out for 3rd place right now.
I need Gardner Minshew to do well today, because I took CJ Stroud early in the season, and he's been from Houston, and he's been a super performer. I just grabbed him based on, like, and then as soon as the Colts starter went down, I went and grabbed him too. So, and Stroud's out now, so I'm relying on he's my second quarterback.
Oh, in the fight game media league, I have had problems with quarterbacks all season long, and I've been having to rotate, and then it was so many backup quarterbacks were the only ones available, and so, like, every week I'm like this is ridiculous. And I was like, all these backup quarterbacks suck, and I was like, they're all terrible, and I was like, I just need, like, some decent points from you guys.
I took a bunch of I drafted my only quarterback, my only, like, 5-star, who's the guy quarterback, ironically, is Jared Goff. That's so funny. The Lions starting quarterback as my primary quarterback. There you go. Fortunately, he's had a pretty good year.
There you go.
Obviously, I mean, we've talked about this before. I'm a Seahawks. Yeah, exactly, Eddie. Hopefully, Minshew does well for both of us, both you and I. Always like when the locals are happy. And this has been a great year for Detroit, and the head football coach is hilarious. I love the guy. He's so fun to listen to. Like,
Yeah.
he's just one of those guys. He understands
Mhm.
young players. Like, he's super fun. And it's a great attitude. Everybody's been on strike around here, not just the auto workers, like the
Sure.
casino workers. Like, it's tough here. Like, it's
Yeah,
and this
for
is
sure.
so it's really great that the team is
So you have something to rally around and lift their
yeah,
spirits
it's
and
super awesome. So I'm so
yeah.
behind that. And the Seahawks are meh. They might make the playoffs, they might not. They've struggled. Their starter is a backup. He's a lifelong backup. Like, it's just accepted.
Yeah. I
Um,
understand.
well,
We
we
have a
had
rookie quarterback who hasn't done any, and who our owner admitted that he thought CJ Stroud was going to be available and he wasn't. And so they took Bryce Young, and he admitted it. And then he was like, but this is who I wanted anyway. No, you fucking idiot. We're not stupid. You basically just told your quarterback you didn't want him and you only took him because the guy you wanted, which we all knew, but you just said it publicly in a press conference where everybody heard you. Like, good job.
that was I took
Yes,
a bunch.
Eddie.
It is the year of backups, Eddie, because
is.
a bunch of I kind of like had a weird feeling. I just grabbed him based on a couple of things that I know about football, and because I've been out of the NFL for a long time, so I don't know who's starting where. I mean, I can still tell you conferences and stuff, but
Sure.
I have no idea what
Yeah,
the
I'm
new
really bad
hotness
about
is.
player, which is one of the reasons I wanted to play, because like with baseball, I know a lot more players. I know where they're at. But with football, I'm not quite as familiar, and I still struggle with that. And so, but yeah, so I know what you mean.
Yeah, but it was fun because what ended up happening is a lot of rookie quarterbacks that got drafted ended up playing because of the nature of the game and the things were going. So I was like, yeah, I'm so glad I grabbed I grabbed Raheem Mostert early in the season on a complete whim.
I have him
based on the fact that
league.
he was just like, they needed a running back and I knew they were going to use him. He put up 48 points one week. I have
him in my other league, and yes.
I've never had a player put that kind of
He
is the reason that I've been in second place most of the year.
And that same game, I think I had somebody else. He put up 48, and somebody else from that. I can't remember this. I've got it. I tweeted it because I was like, "Look at this is insane. This is probably never going to happen to me again."
Yeah,
and somebody else, like the quarterback, put up like 30 points or something like that. It was like some insane number, and I was like, "I'm documenting this because this is never going to happen to me again."
Exactly. This has been like my favorite football league just because I think what I figured out was like, because I don't care, I'm basing it solely on like projections and numbers, and that's it. Like, and I've had more fun and more success doing it that way. And I actually did grab the Seahawks.
I let my teams, no, that team, I think I did draft. My other team, I auto drafted because I didn't know that we were even doing a draft, because they weren't really, they just restarted the league and really didn't say anything to anybody. And so I was like, well, I'm just going to let it auto pick. And it did fairly well. I mean, I made a few changes here and there, and then obviously some injuries made some things change, but I was like, and I was in first place for a while with my auto draft team. So I was like, I'm just going to let it ride. Really? Yahoo.
No, this is the best time I've ever had playing fantasy. So it's like, I'm hoping because this would be really fun, but Jeremy's going to be tough to beat. So
are you still working?
Oh yeah, I'm making it.
I'm sorry. What is the name of, what's the official name of this belt?
Okay, wait.
It's a very long.
Let me get this. It's the it's the undisputed Universal World Heavyweight Championship of Fight Game Media.
Yes. So Mel is making a belt for this is the first year that Fight Game Media, this group of Fight Game Media,
since we're all on
together. So we're gonna
all the way on the tube now, on the YouTubes, and it's all in on Fight Game Media on the YouTubes. I think that, and a lot of us are doing live streams, after shows, or doing like we do. So it'll be a fun gimmick for us to have, and we can challenge each other to random things.
Whoever gets that belt needs to display it on the wall like yours.
Oh,
like yours are.
Yeah, that'd be funny. That'd be hilarious.
Display it like that. It sounds like who is Jeremy's? Is Jeremy in first
Jeremy
place?
is just. It's the problem with Jeremy is that he has so many points. So many.
Yeah, it's gonna.
I can't believe like I was in like that's been my saving grace is people like Monster putting up 50 points.
He's going for that undisputed point of that part of that title for sure. But we'll have to show you Mel's hard work at putting that belt together. She's creating a belt for us.
It's gonna be silly. It's gonna be silly.
It's gonna be amazing, you guys.
It's gonna be the silliest thing ever.
Yes.
It's going to be my brand of hilariously I like to just like draw and doodle. I'm not like some kind of I draw because of my friends. Like when I get the like whim to do something for a friend is when I draw. So
right.
It's hilarious usually.
I can't wait to see what you've come up with. It's gonna be amazing.
I have it in my head. I just need to sit down with the I need to get my mother.
You got a few more weeks for the season, and then there's playoffs and Super Bowl. So you got some time.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep it so that if like we do have to send it around, it's not some absurd amount of money. It's like pop it in the box.
No, exactly. That doesn't need to be. No, shipping is ridiculous as it is.
Because I don't want it to be like that. I want it to be something that is like more, and it'll just be fun because it's another thing that we can cross talk about because we all love each other so much.
Yeah, and, it'll be fun.
And because it's so nice, like Keela showing up here today, and I just because we all love each other.
We do.
We're one big giant family here at Fight Game Media.
And even though the Patreon is no more, the shows are still here. They're just a different form of getting them. And so please make sure that definitely make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel because that's obviously where we are. We have the Dynamite. The Dynamite show is live every Wednesday after Dynamite. We have Speaking of Strong Style on Thursdays. And speaking of that, Stephen, who was one of the hosts, is here in the chat. So thank you for being here, Stephen. And so they have, and if you missed it, please go to our YouTube channel, subscribe, and go back and watch. They had ELP and Hikuleo on their show last week. Yeah, it was so much fun. And because I saw the tweet, I saw ELP come up in my timeline. You quote tweeted it, and I was like, I think this would be better suited for. I was like, I mean, Mel and I watch, but I was like, I have been kind of out of the loop with stuff. I don't want to sound like an idiot.
No, totally. I'm so glad they did it.
And then I was like, you know what? I was like, let me tell Steven and Jeremy about this because this is right up their alley. They watched every World Tag League thing. Like they know what's happening with them literally right this minute. I was like, let me send them this. And I didn't realize it was going to come together so fast. And they were like, and I happened to see a tweet and they were like, we're going live. And I missed the first couple of minutes. And I was like, let me get in here. And I was like, oh, that was so cool. So definitely go watch it. They did a phenomenal job. They had great questions. ELP and Hikuleo seemed like really great guests. They've been hitting up the podcast, the podcasting, and speaking of Strong Style was one of the first ones they got to, which was really cool. So definitely go make sure you watch that. But Stephen, I'm sure will tell us they're doing 2 shows coming up. They're previewing Wrestle Kingdom, right?
Yep, they're doing Thursday and Friday this week.
Right, and it's 2. They're gonna have special guests. Is it Scott Edwards on the first? Wait, who's first?
Scott is on day 1.
And then day 2 is Chris Samsa will be
that's
on
right
there.
Yes.
So definitely okay. Yes, Stephen is Thursday is Scott Edwards. Yeah.
Friday is Samsa. That's gonna be fun. That's 2 days of fun.
Yes, Chris Samsa is on Friday. So yes, please make sure that you're subscribed and go check that out because that's gonna be So, I mean, we can help you preview stuff, but let me tell you, with these guests and Steven and Jeremy, they're gonna have you more than covered. And they go, so please go watch.
I need to watch because I
was like, I'm gonna, I'm gonna be.
Well, not just because it's gonna be fun and there's like fun guests, but I need like the breakdown because I saw the card today, the finalized card. I saw like right before I came on with you, and I was like,
some matches.
It's pretty bad when like some of these lower card matches are better than the I'm more interested in some of the lower card matches and of course Okada and Danielson than I am in the main.
Like Steven and Jeremy have been following some of these stories really closely too, and some of this, so like, and then even like the tag match that's Bishamon versus ELP and Hikuleo, like ELP was saying that, you know, some people they tuned in the finale and they're like, why is this a 40-minute match, and they hadn't seen like the story that had been playing out. And ELP, I think, made a really good point, and I'm glad that he did. He was like, I don't think Western fans know how over we are here. And I was like, and I knew a little bit, but I was like, toot your own horn. Tell the people, because it is different for Western fans that sometimes we don't see, especially if we're not following closely. Because I have a bad habit, especially as much as I love tag team wrestling, I have a bad habit of not keeping up with
not watching Tag League.
And so I appreciated that he said that. And then he was talking about how, and Hikuleo was actually wearing the shirt, but he was talking about, he's like, we can't keep this shirt in stock. We sell out of it all the time. Awesome. And Hikuleo happened to be wearing it. So like, that's a really cool thing. And so like, I'm excited for now I'm more excited for that match than I had been. And I haven't had a chance to watch it, but I know New Japan put out like that 17-minute video that's like the story of Naito and Sonata and like their 18-year history. And I was like, I really want to check it out because I started watching regularly, I think in 2016. And so of course I
signed up too.
And so I miss and I've heard them talk about it a little bit, but like I've heard some people say that watching that has made them really interested in the match where they weren't really before, because some people, there's so many different feelings about Sonata as a champion, but they said watching that made them like really want to see this match. And so I was like, I need to go check that out because I heard it was really well done and has like really explains. And I think I think they both talk about their history and stuff like that. So it sounds really cool. And I'm glad to see New Japan doing that. So
yeah, I'm really excited for Wrestle Kingdom's like the best show of the year, man. I'm really excited. It's like, and I saw that they were doing, I'm like, okay, I'm going to go with them and get the preview. And I did not get to watch the interview. I just saw that it was there and I was trying to, boost it and stuff. So I'm going to go back and watch it because
it's really good.
Because I did get enough of it to get your little crack there, which was hilarious. And about Cody not checking his WhatsApp. But I'm not going to spoil too much. You guys should go back and watch it.
That I tuned in like right after that. Yeah. And so I saw, I think Karina's her name, or Corinne, she clipped it. And that's how I saw it. And so I was like, oh, this is great. And of course, that's the thing that's making the rounds from that interview. So I'm so glad that they got that because it was making the rounds everywhere and people are quoting it. And luckily, and they were awesome. They were tagging it back to them so people would go watch the interview. Steven says that video was brilliant. Yes, Naito, Sonata, and Yoshihashi at a tryout in 2005. Lots of layers to their parallel careers. Yeah, especially with Yoshihashi's stuff and how he's
a good job with storytelling.
The last couple of years, Yoshihashi has been like a completely different wrestler the last 2 or 3 years. I agree with that. And just to see, like, I never realized that he had this in him. I was like, where has this been the whole time? And he's just been on the run. And Bishamon has been such a fun tag team to watch. I really enjoyed that
work. Since the beginning. I thought that was a good idea since the very I was really bummed out, like not getting to see some of the like matches with them that could have happened because things got switched around and everything. But like they were great. I enjoy that tag team.
Me too.
Forbidden Door.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, they were at Forbidden Door. They were on the buy-in. Right?
Yes. And, yes. I was like, I got to see
and them. The fans were cheering for the fans that were there. the fans were cheering for them, and I think they were surprised that the fans knew who they were.
Yes. I remember now. I'm like, no, I did get to see them. I saw them at Forbidden Door, and I was so excited about it. And I was like, this is gonna be awesome. Like,
and it was,
and it has been. I mean,
Yes.
I need to get back caught up with my New Japan. I've been like way
So do
out of
I.
everything.
I
My
do too.
primary, the only thing I've been really paying attention to has been Motor City Machine Guns, and I'm reading
welcome.
Killing the Business right now, the Young Bucks book.
I need to. I
And
borrowed it from a friend from forever ago, and I need to read it. I've had it for like 2 years.
Well, I'm reading it
3 years.
because you have been telling me how much the Bucks respect Motor City and how much they look up to them. So I was like, what am I doing? I have this in my queue. So I've been listening to my Audible of it, and I've just been bookmarking clips of the times that they've talked about Saban and Shelley. And Alex, those two are responsible basically for you having the Young Bucks on your television. It was them wrestling in PWG and realizing that they had a match in PWG, and Saban and Shelley came to them afterwards and were like, we really would love to have you at TNA, because it was TNA back then, and come in, and we're going to get your best stuff together and get a little profile, like get a portfolio together for us, so that we can get into the right hands of the right people, so that you can come in, because we think the tag division is getting stale and we want to have new creative people to work with. So and it took 8 months.
Wow.
They wrestled in April at PWG, and they didn't premiere. I think it was a dark match. I actually reached out to John Muse, and John Muse is the coolest dude ever. If you he will, if you want information, like smart things, like information, he is like the coolest. Like, he's so happy to just help you out with timelines, and
that's awesome.
So I was like, asking him, and he's like, well, if they said it, then you have to take them at their word. And they especially Alex Shelley, because he's like the big advocate for younger. That's more his, nothing against Saban, just that's more Shelley's speed, is that's what he does, is get young talent or new people or whatever. But it was them hammering it for 8 months that got them to debut on that dark match in December of that year, of 2009. And that was a TV eventually that got them on TV. So the Motor City Machine Guns are basically responsible for the Young Bucks premiering on TV when they did.
Yeah.
So how can the Young Bucks be on a ballot?
Right, and not
the guys who got them in front of you in the first place, or at least had a profound.
Well, and we talked about this before. They opened the door for them to go wrestle in Japan, because
But they didn't wrestle for big. They didn't wrestle for big time promotions, so they didn't get and they were small guys and all these things. So it's they were the big argument that you keep running, that you will always bump up against with these guys, is they were ahead of their time. And I'm like, but doesn't that make the case for them being in the Hall of Fame? I have this. I've had, to me, that makes the. To me,
that
I'm
makes
okay.
That is the bow tie on everything else. For all of the reasons they should be in there already, but then to say that they are ahead of their time, and we've talked about this before, how many tag team wrestlers credit them, who took their style, who did a lot of stuff, who got into tag team wrestling because they were smaller and they saw what Saban and Shelley were doing, all those things. But to say that they were ahead of their times, that for me, that would be, if I wasn't already a huge fan of theirs, that's the bow tie on the package, is they were ahead of their time, put them in. And Josiah,
you should hear how
he would vote for Shelley and Saban. And as he says, they're still that good. They haven't slowed down. They can still work that super fast junior style that the Bucks work too. They literally just won the DPW tag team titles when I was there.
They won another title right now.
They had the Impact tag team titles earlier this year. And then of course they've done their singles stuff, where Shelley has been the Impact World Champion, and then Saban is the first wrestler to ever win the X Division title 10 times. He did that this year. They're winning you know, they were winning tag titles in other indie companies. They're doing solo stuff. They're wrestling. They're doing a mixture. They're doing, like, on TV, they're typically baby faces. They're doing heel stuff on the indies. And let me tell you, heel Motor City Machine Guns, they are so much fun. And they are little dickheads, and they're they're so good at it. And it's so, because they've been baby faces for so long, sometimes it's a little jarring, but it's great. And they, like, it just shows how much they continue to evolve, and they do whatever is needed of them. And yes, I would agree with Josiah that Shelly is on the best run of his career. He's healthy, and he knows how to help. He needs, I mean, he hurt even with the leg tweak that he had when they were in Europe, like, because he's a physical therapist. In real life, he knows how to take care of himself and what he needs to do to heal himself and to run at a high level, which is incredible. So
I'm going to tell you this story because I was going to tell you off air, but I thought it would be cuter to tell on air, and I don't think that he'll mind. But a couple of my good brother friends who are very, very close, one of them bought a cameo for the other. So for John, our friend John, he got a cameo from one of our good friends, and it was Alex Shelley, and it was so hilarious because he like wanted him to heal on him, but because of the nature of all of our relationships and the way that we are with each other. And so, but he did like the best, most adorable, sweet, like awesome. Because at the end, he was
great.
And this is what, like, I love about the guy is he's talked about the fact that, and I've seen a few people's different cameos that they've had done for them for whatever reason. It's like, here it is, here it is. And a lot of, I mean, Danhausen's great, Tully Blanchard, like people like that.
Yeah.
But you talked about the fact that you don't get a lot of good friends in life, and he even struggles and it was like, and it's so good to have this good of a friend. And I was like, you are the coolest dude ever. But like his impact, it's not just in the ring, it's but bringing in young talent, not being a gatekeeper, not being afraid of new creative teams is not
I
being
think that's
them, but taking them by the hand and being like, get in here and work with us.
Yeah, like, and I think that's part of the reason that they're so good on the indies too, is because they're basically scouting talent when they're on the indies and wanting to work with these teams. And like because like when they came into DPW, like they wrestled Violence is Forever, which they were not, that they were previous tag team champions, were not champions at the time. And then of course they beat the Workhorsemen to win the titles. And then their match that they're having in January, there's two shows. So on the 20th is Violence is Forever versus Stu Grayson and Evil Uno. And then the winner of that match faces Motor City the next day. Like, so they're out there, and then you see, and then like Alex Shelley I believe he's the Prestige champion. I want to say, no, is the Prestige just the Remix championship that he has? Because he's defended it in Revolver, and he's wrestling like younger talent. They are like individually. So yeah, and that goes back to what you're saying about how they're not afraid of younger wrestlers, and they're putting them, they'll lose to these wrestlers if they need to, or whatever sort. Like they're just.
He did when they came here, he wrestled Nick Wayne. And he put Nick Wayne over afterwards. And it's just like, they're very special, and they do a lot of things, and I'm going to keep pushing. And I got Jim Valley to admit that, they definitely need to have the conversation. So, and he said it right on Wrestling Observer Live, folks. He said it. It was said. It's been documented now.
I told you.
I've got a couple of voters on my side now, and that's what you got. That's who you have to convince. You got to convince the voters.
I do hope they make it into the Hall of Fame, but the biggest thing I want from this is that people give them their flowers and people understand how important they are to the business. I want people to understand how important they truly have been to tag team wrestling and to wrestling in general, and to what they have done, and that they, just because you may not have seen them doesn't mean that they haven't been, they've been doing incredible things for very many years. They're at the top of they're better now than and it's incredible because they were so good then, but to me, they are better now than they have ever been. And they are at like Josiah said, like Shelley's on the run of his career right now. And he's 20 years and are nearly 20 years into his career. And they both have gotten so much better, and they're working with the young teams, like you said. And my main thing from all of this is I want people to understand their importance to the business and how good that they truly are. And Josiah said, I don't have a vote yet, but I would vote for them and the Bucks in a second. Easy votes for me.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, exactly.
I would agree with that. Yeah. Yes.
So I'm told that Dave, he won't basically put anyone that he doesn't think can get 10% of the vote. And I think that they can, but I mean, I don't, I'm no expert.
I would hope so, but who knows?
Who knows? I'm no expert.
And those things are, and like we've talked
about,
I'm
working on it, folks.
Hall of Fames in general are very subjective. And so if this just brings more attention to them and what they've done for the business, that's what I'm happy. I mean, of course, if they're inducted, that would be incredible. I just want people to know what I've known for the last 2 decades, basically. They should
have more fans. Like, what's the worst that can happen is more people are watching more of their matches like me. Right. And I'm enjoying the crap out of them. Like, I really enjoy, and it's fun because I like history. So I like seeing, when I watch their matches, I'm like, holy crap. Oh my God, that's such an influence on this thing here. And so I just love that. I love that. That's right in my wheelhouse.
Yeah, I know that you have been probably having a lot of fun with this.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome. I'm glad that you are.
And it's a fun place to nerd out. Like, take a little time and nerd out and then come back to doing normal. So
definitely.
Yes. President Ace.
Yes, President Ace. We've got, well, are we good? We can start with President Ace and then move around to some other things if you want to.
Well, I mean,
we'll stick with the New Japan topics because we have some comments.
Finished up on it because we basically talked about most of it.
Yeah, and we had some comments about President Ace, and we had some other comments about the Young Bucks. We saw them. I didn't put them on I did not put them on the screen. We were talking, and so let me go back up here to President Ace shocking the world. Yeah, that was Josiah made a really good point here that it's quite the change. They must have been grooming him for the position for a while. And, Josiah, I didn't really think about that, but I think you're right.
You're probably right.
Because it seemed to come for most of us. I mean, obviously we're not in the know, and we're not, or at least I'm not with New Japan. Like, I don't know a lot of the stuff that I know about other companies, but it seemed to come out of nowhere. It seemed to be extremely, like, everybody seemed caught off guard, but the reaction, and of course, I mean, people are like, oh, well, they're just reacting because he's their boss now. But I mean, he had such a positive reaction. There was so many, like Chris Charlton was like, Tanahashi's my boss now. It was like, and then, and I think one of Shinsuke tweeted, and just all he said was, wow. And that was just like, I was like, that's, a really big thing. Kenta has talked about it. And Kenta told him something about making sure he keeps his front teeth in. And so I was like, don't give him a gift basket with apples in it. Don't put
makes a lot of sense when you think about it, because of what an ambassador for pro wrestling he has actively been outside of the ring. Yeah. And what he did during the pandemic, he was one of the biggest, like, we promise that we're going to do our absolute best. And we know you can't do these things. And we know we're in empty arenas. He's been to the government because they have a sports bureau within the way that their government is structured.
Right.
I think it was like Tiger Hattori or somebody was on the board there. It's hilarious. Like, he's a member of the Diet or whatever.
Right.
But and then they just recently, all of the promotions decided that they were going to do, like, essentially something of an alliance. But the idea is that they understand, they've all agreed that pro wrestling is an important part of Japanese culture that needs to be protected. So they want to do a thing where they're essentially working together, where they've got their own forbidden door, as it was. But I mean, it's kind of huge because when you think about things like like All Japan working with New Japan, that's like,
and now NXT.
I mean,
there's a video that came out yesterday. All Japan's doing something with NXT. January the 3rd.
Very interesting. I mean,
it may just be a one-time thing, and somebody made that. I was talking to somebody else, and they said they wondered if it was going to be Ike Manjiro because he was in NXT and he's doing All Japan and DDT Pro, so they were saying maybe it's something with that. But yeah, so it's just.
I mean, it might be part of the whatever trade they made to get brother over to Muta's.
Yeah. So it's probably, it could be a one-time thing, but it's just interesting timing with everything. Yeah, because there is so much happening in Japan. Like, this is, we've got President Tana, and we have this new collective of the wrestling promotions working together.
Good, but he cares, and he can't wrestle forever. It's getting worse and worse. We get to his you look at his knees, and it's but this seems like the most, to me, in my weird world, this seems like the most natural choice ever. And I think he's going to make a really good president. I think he will legitimately take this seriously. I think he legitimately loves pro wrestling. I think he loves what it's given to him. I think he knows what it means in a historical context. And I think,
I agree. Yeah.
The poor guy, he can't keep, I've seen him live. I've been so fortunate to see Tana. I think I've seen him 3 or 4 times now.
Yeah, he's on my bucket list of people to see. I have
unbelievable, and it's but you can tell it's his style and the things that he's it's as much as you want to keep going. At some point, your body's you can't, and he has a family, and he
exactly.
So
yeah, he has things that he has to think about. I mean, he's definitely preparing for his future, but also keeping New Japan. And Josiah goes back to what you said, that though it could be very good for New Japan, as we've seen him since 2020 take on a very major role between the government and wrestlers and leader beyond just the ring, which, definitely reinforces everything you just said. And yeah, Brad says Tana is a lawyer, a movie star, a pro wrestler, and now a president, not just the ace of the universe, but the ace of the world, in parentheses, New Japan world. Exactly. Yeah, and
I want him to be can he be president of the United States too? I mean,
please,
somebody put that out there. I was it might have been Kate that even said that, where it was now can he be president of the US too? And I'm he could probably handle it. He is the ace of the universe. I mean,
yes.
This seems like the most natural thing ever to me. What does Steven have to say here?
Steven said it did. It's not. This was not on anyone's radar, but reaction has been very positive thus far. But yes, agree that it looks like they were grooming him. Eddie said grooming him in the way that TK is doing to Brian right now. Possibly, but I think this is it's kind of like that. And then Tana, Josiah says Tana is 47 now, that he may wind down. I can see him working until he's 50-ish and doing part-time stuff after, but he's absolutely hurting. And Eddie said Triple H won't stop his wrestling dream, colonizing dream. No, he will not.
My friend made a joke. He wrote Tanahashi, but he wrote Triple H. So it was really funny. He was being he was being cute.
It was
hilarious.
Or HH Hiroshi.
HHH Hiroshi Tanahashi. That's what it was. So Triple H.
I have not heard this, but
Hiroshi Tanahashi. It was hilarious.
Is that NXT is not working with NJPW? If they were, it'd be hyped up more, and that it's just Eichmann Jiro trolling.
Oh, okay. Well,
that would be interesting. Jesse says WWE AJPW and Tanahashi as president of New Japan is the OMG moments to kick off 2024 in Japanese wrestling. But does that mean AWX New Japan is over and done soon? I don't think so. They have a really good. I think that's probably. I'm sure a lot can be said about Obari and how things kind of ran under him, but he had to run through COVID. But he is the reason that New Japan and AEW have a relationship, because they were not in a good place before Obari came in. New Japan was very upset, rightfully so. They were very upset because Kenny and the Bucks left them and
everything up so freaking hard. He blew it and it messed everything up, because I think they would have ended up stronger if they hadn't had such a blow up with that dude. It would have probably helped New Japan. They wouldn't be in such a bad place right now, but they're in a better place than they would be because of their relationship with AEW.
Right.
Then they wouldn't be.
Josiah makes a really good point that if anything, it strengthens the relationship as Tony Khan and Tanahashi get along really well. Rocky Romero and Mox played a big role in making it happen too. Yeah, Rocky Romero, which we talked about, is the unsung hero.
Rocky's the man.
And he does so much outside of his wrestling career, which he's apparently just had an incredible run in CMLL. But just being this person who goes back and forth between as an incredible liaison between them, and I think that Tana. And if Tana and Tony have a really good relationship, hopefully that doesn't change anything with what happens. Brad says WWE's ratings on Abima haven't been very good. The fans there don't care about WWE style of wrestling. They just won't let it die, but they aren't getting a foothold there. Yeah, New Japan or WWE and NJPW is not.
That's because they don't do business the same way we do. It's not about they're not about branding. They're not about things like it's a different thing. It's Rocky Romero is the Forbidden Door, Josiah. Yeah, kinda. I mean,
yes, Eddie. I think you're right. He said TK would work with WWE if they weren't so stubborn. Yes, an offensive man.
I mean, I think everybody would work with everybody if WWE weren't so stubborn, but they want their exclusivity, so they got it. I mean,
we have a different narrative, and I will read it. It says that Harold Meij did a fantastic job as president for the false narrative for the wrestlers and the media portray. I don't know enough about it to dispute. I will just go with what I guess that is what it's being portrayed. But there was a falling out between them.
Yeah,
and things did not go. And there may have been more of, and I didn't say, and I'm not saying Harold Meij is not, I was just gonna say that they're Harold. Yeah, see, that's what I had heard. So Steven says, I'll say this is the first time I've heard someone say that he did well, talking about Harold Meij or Obari. Josiah said that Harold is the reason why there's no relationship with AEW. That's what I have always heard as well. Josiah said that's the first time he's heard it. And again, I'm not saying that I'm not saying that
I mean, the Observer stuff was pretty damning. That's all I'll say. I read that Observer.
If they're only being told one side of the story or only certain parts of things, that's how narratives get out there. So I'm not, and I'm not trying to say that I'm discrediting anything that's being,
you're playing devil's advocate.
From my side of what I have heard, it has always been that Harold is the reason that there is no relationship with New Japan. I mean, AEW and New Japan.
And Steven, he's talking about Harold saying so that's the first time he's ever heard someone say Harold did a good job. So.
Right.
I mean, from what and you can only go off of what's out there, and it is wrestling, but at least especially the Observer stuff was pretty damning. And we'll all never know because none of us were in that room, and none of us will ever know the true story. But the good news is that those days are over, and we're back to a situation where Bryan Danielson is wrestling Kazuchika Okada in this I'm calling it semi-main. I don't know. That's just me. But the second to last match on the card on Wrestle Kingdom, and that's a pretty good place for wrestling to be. I mean,
and so I think that's one of the things that's going to be really interesting with Tana as president is he's wrestling he's wrestling at Wrestle Kingdom. He's wrestling Zack Sabre Jr. He is currently 1/3 of the never open weight 6-man or trios with Okada and Ishii. So I was like, and that maybe Japanese wrestling doesn't care about that as much as because some people are well, that's a conflict of interest because he's a wrestler and a president. But I was like, I think New Japan probably sees that differently because it's Tanahashi.
Well,
and also how they view things differently than the way Western fans do. So I don't think, and it's not baseball.
They're going to be really upset when they hear about Dick the Bruiser and the Sheik because they were promoters and wrestlers. So I don't know what to tell anybody.
Right. So it'll be really interesting to see how does he just drop those? Are they gonna how quickly they drop those titles? Because I kind of I was kind of curious if how quickly they would drop the titles anyway, with Okada potentially with the stuff being up in the air with Okada. And then now that this is happening. And so, but Steven points out that there's a long and big capital letters history of owners, presidents, and bookers being stars too.
Well, Antonio Inoki was the biggest star in New Japan.
Right.
He was, and he ran it.
So that's why I was like, I don't think that there's going to be, I think some people, like I said, some Western fans, I think are a little bit more concerned about it than
they'll work it out. He's not like retiring
it's
tomorrow.
not going to be a huge conflict of interest like some people seem to think it is. Over here in the comments we've got it happens all the time in Japan. Muto with AJPW, Wrestle One, etc. Misawa with Noah, Inoki with New Japan,
was the biggest
Baba
star.
with AJPW, and then and Steven says Baba Inoki, Ricky
Dozan,
yeah.
I mean, that's just Japan, like the Sheik. I mean, no one knew. Nobody that was working for him knew necessarily that he was their booker, but he was their guy. Like he did the whole thing.
Yep, and Ricky Josu, and Hayes and Liger all booked up top. So it's definitely.
Well, I mean, they're good. They got this. They got this on. Japanese wrestling has this on lockdown. They're good.
Yeah, they'll be fine. They'll be fine as long as President Tana's there. We'll be good.
And I don't see Tana being the kind of person who's gonna like. I mean, Antonio Inoki would just put himself over and over and over. I mean, he would go over and over and over and over and over. Tana's not going to do anything like that. He's going to put over young talent or come up with
he's trying to build it.
Profiles of places, and then eventually he'll probably just sort of slowly kind of back away, and it'll all be over.
Yeah, and like we've talked, I mean, like you mentioned before, like he has the knee problems. That's long been an issue for years. So regardless of whether he was president or not, he was probably going to be winding down as it is. And then, he just happened to step into this role. And like you said, Josiah and Steven has said, it sounds like this was something they were kind of quietly building to.
I'm shocked that it didn't get out. Like they must have been... Because that wrestling is such a talky people. Based on
the reactions I saw on my timeline, it seemed like everyone was very surprised by this news.
Best surprise ever, though. Merry Christmas to us.
Right. And as Keela said earlier, may he have a long and prosperous reign.
Long may he reign.
Definitely. For sure. So I'm excited for that. I'm excited for Wrestle Kingdom. I'm definitely going to be checking out, speaking of strong style shows this week, so I can get caught up on some of the stuff that I'm not as closely paying attention to so that they can fill us in.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I decided, I was like, you know what? Instead of all these crazy things, because I got my subscription back up and running, I was like, I'm just going to go listen to Steven and Jeremy and their guests, and they'll tell me everything I need to know. And then afterwards, hopefully, I'm gonna maybe tweet at him, but Jim hosted Wrestling Observer Radio on Wednesdays. Mm-hmm. So the one that went up Wednesday night, you listen Thursday kind of deal.
Sure.
And Dave was like, "Oh, we should do our Fumi show for Wrestle Kingdom, so the three of us can do it because we haven't done one in so long." And Dave's like really into like saying that stuff, and then like someone else has to sort of. Anyway. But anyway, so I'm going to like try and push that a little bit too, so that after those guys, so we can watch those guys before, and then we can listen to Jim and Fumi and mark out with Dave about how it was. And I like listening to, and it'll be good to listen to Jeremy and Steven's after show.
Yes. Oh yeah, for sure.
They've been keeping me in the know when I do actually get into the thing on Thursday when I'm available. I jump in there and I'm like, oh good, I'll be smart right now. I'll know what's going on. I won't be totally out of the loop.
Right.
and I mean, and they get super chats and they get good guests and they get like, I mean, they're like, what's not to love? It's Jeremy and Steven. They're amazing.
Right. Yes, definitely. So make sure you subscribe and watch. And if you're following
right there underneath,
if you're following,
right down there, just subscribe and up like this while you're at it.
And if you follow Powerbombshells and Fight Game Media on Twitter, then we will retweet to remind you as well about the shows. that they're going to be doing so that you don't forget. But you can also set a reminder bell. But I think Mel has said that the reminder bell is very temperamental and sometimes doesn't. Sometimes it doesn't tell you, or you have to click something else to get everything. So we will make sure that we retweet them. Steven said, very much appreciate the kind words. Of course, we love you guys, and
we love you.
We want people to see. And yeah, you can.
Let's do it. All right. I liked this week when Jeff and Paul were doing their throw to things. That was very hilarious to me.
I need to go back and watch their show. I was going to watch it live, but then I got wrapped up. I ended up having to write a couple of articles, and so I didn't get into it. And so I have got one of the
Garrett said that if you want to know, he can tell you when the ads are going to come up on Facebook or on YouTube. And so you can pretend to like do it funny, but they were hilarious about it and was so cute. So I'm just gonna
so yes, some of you may realize that we do now have ads that will come up in our live stream. It's just something that helps us out, especially since there is no longer a Patreon. Super chats obviously help us out as well, but we know the ads can be a little not fun to deal with, a little annoying sometimes, especially if you're in the middle of talking, but they are there to help us. So we appreciate if that you hopefully they don't annoy you too much. You don't miss too much of the conversation, but they are something that will be happening in the live streams now. So we were all caught off guard last week. We didn't know. And so it was in our comments, and Brad and Daza were like, there's an ad during your live stream. So, and we were not aware. And so we are aware now, but so that you guys know, there will be some ads going forward.
So here you go.
And then it's the Intergalactic Soul, the Honorable Brother, the Revolutionary yourself, Darius Lockhart, and I'm here to tell you to watch Powerbombshells every Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern on the Fight Game Media YouTube channel. That's right, every Sunday at 1 p.m. and that's on time, every time, because when we stand together, what time is it? That's right, it's nation time.
I love
Very glad you don't hear me yelling nation time into my microphone because I get
me too. I'm glad when we play those videos, it mutes it, and I say nation time like every time.
Yes, so. It's definitely a good call.
I mean, it's got to be like it's like I'm like from New England, so it's like a Pavlovian response. I hear Sweet Caroline, I go bum bum bum. Like
of course, yes. Well, yeah.
It's just, I mean, definitely. Everyone does it, but especially like from where I'm from, like that is like.
Yeah. And so. First of all, again,
that's good because Darius' the next Ashe show is coming.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. So that's actually again, thank you to Darius for taking the time to record that for us. But also, so if you a few weeks ago, I went to Ashe's first show here in Charlotte. It was at the Grady Cole Center, which has a lot of historic it's a lot of historic meaning to Charlotte, especially NWA. It was, Steamboat's house, Dusty Rhodes' house. A lot of really big, important things happen. And for the first time ever, not only did two women main event at the Grady Cole Center, it was two Black women, which I believe they were trying to find out. They're not sure that that's actually ever happened in Charlotte anywhere, that two Black women have main evented. And it was Trish Adora versus the legendary, iconic Aja Kong, which is I still can't believe that I was sitting across from her.
It's amazing.
I gotta post some more. I keep forgetting. I was like, I've got to post some more of these pictures because I have one where she's looking like right at me, and I was just like, I can't believe that this happened. But so Ashe has a show coming up in February. We're still waiting on details. We don't know the date or the time, but we already knew one match from the first show. They're jokingly calling it the Battle of the Dariuses because Darius Lockhart is going to have his first match in North Carolina for the first time in 4 years because there's a variety of reasons why that.
He came in and weaseled his way into the match during the...
Yes, Darius Carter. Yes, it was supposed to be Darius Lockhart versus Billy Dixon. And Darius Carter weaseled his way in, said he's the number one Darius in wrestling now, and then he was confrontational.
He's pretty good on the mic, man.
He is. That's we've mentioned this before. We've talked about how their heels tend to do a lot of the low-hanging fruit. Certain champions and major companies like to do it too. But Darius, Carter is somebody that a lot of people I hear, they're like, if you want to see a heel who is very good at their job without doing the low-hanging fruit stuff, Darius Carter is who you need to study. And I think Darius, I have not, that was the first time I had seen him live, was when he wrestled Jonathan Gresham that night. And Darius Carter, well, then he's my number one nemesis too. Brad says Darius Carter is Kathy's number one nemesis. All right, well then he's my number one nemesis now too.
I have to say this because Brad mentions Kathy, and Kevin Ely's daughter has been slowly becoming a fan and went to her first wrestling show this week, and he's been updating us on stuff. And I realize that it's become a fun thing to hear about Kathy, and I don't remember Kevin's daughter's name or if he's ever mentioned it, but it's been fun to hear like what the essentially the 11 and 16-year-olds think about like the wrestling and what they're into and which things they like and which things they don't like. It's become something of a thing. Brad in the Discord and here on our show and things like that, we're like following what Kathy's doing, and like, you know, we're friends on social media. And then with Kevin, it's been like an update on the boom, because like James is like us, where he's like, what'd she think of that? What'd she think of that? And it's like, it's because that's the future. Like, it's like we need kids to get into it. And I love it how it's been organic. It's not something that's been forced on their children. It's something that their kids have migrated to because dad's watching. And I just love that. So cool. I think that's the coolest thing in the world. And I love hearing updates like that. And I love seeing, because it's like when I see a kid in the street with a lightsaber, it just warms my heart. It's like, we had to make our own. Right. But I don't even care. I'm just so happy. Or when the kids, like during Christmas, they were all dressed up as like Mario characters. And I was the happiest person in the world. I'm just like, yay. I finally got to see the movie, which was excellent. Just aside.
Good.
If you were a Mario fan, you could watch it if you weren't.
Oh yeah, totally I need to see that. I haven't gotten, actually I forgot about it.
If you weren't a Mario fan, you could totally enjoy it. And if you were, they give you a ton of fun nods without being like
that's very
stupid.
Cool.
They give you a bunch of like, there's a bunch of Easter eggs in there for you nerds that like me that loved your Super Mario Brothers in every incarnation. It's wonderful. Right. Sorry, that was a little tangent.
No, that's
there,
okay. But... So like I said, we know the first match. Well, now we have a second match. Because so I missed when Ashe happened. They did post match stuff, which I missed because obviously I was there live, so I didn't realize what was going on. And somehow I missed. I'm subscribed to the Ashe YouTube, but apparently it did not tell me there was a new video, and I missed it. So they posted 2 weeks ago the interaction between Suge and Caprice, because Caprice Coleman is involved with Ashe as well. He does some of the post stuff. He's been doing interviews leading up to the first show, and there's some other interviews that they'll be adding to the YouTube page. And so Suge was on a team. It was a 4-on-4. It was Georgia versus North Carolina. It was a lot of fun. And Suge was very upset that his Team Georgia did not win. Caprice was like, well, maybe it's because you're a little too focused on because he is I believe I have this written down right. It's the Suge D is the Pan-African World Diaspora Champion. And he is the second holder of this title. This was Trish Adora's title for 1,338 days before he beat her a couple of months ago. And so he kind of, Caprice was like, well, maybe you're a little too focused on that title and you're thinking about the singles stuff. And Suge was like, mind your business. And so they did a sit-down interview, and Suge apologized. He's like, I was really upset that we lost. I kind of took it out on you. I shouldn't have talked to you that way, especially because you're somebody I look up to. I've watched you for years when you were wrestling. The show that you wrestled on, I think it was like Wild Side. And he was like, it used to come on after SmackDown. You were one of my favorite wrestlers. And so I'm really sorry. I never thought I would speak to you that way. And I just want to apologize. And Caprice seemed to accept it, and then they kind of had a back and forth, and you could tell Caprice was bothered, and he was talking about how just because he's on commentary with ROH now doesn't mean that he still can't wrestle. I think he said he's 40. Is he 47? 40. He's in his 40s. Caprice does not look it. Caprice was like, I can still basically, he's like, I have a silver tongue. I can still go. I have the body of a rookie. I can still go. Like, you aren't going to disrespect me. And then Suge was like, you know what? I'll give you a title shot. I'm the champion. I want to wrestle the best to make this title be as relevant as it should be. And so Caprice did accept. And so we do have that match is now happening. So Suge D versus Caprice Coleman for the Pan-African World Diaspora Championship will be happening at Ashe's February show. We don't know the date of that yet and what location. It will be here in Charlotte, I believe. I believe we know that much, but that's all we know. So this show has already got 2 really big matches, and it's Christmas Eve, and we're already in the show sometime in February. So I really can't. I'm trying to remember. I don't think I've seen Caprice wrestle live before. And if I did, it may have been at an ROH. Well, maybe I did at some ROH tapings. I'm trying to remember if I've seen him in the ring. It has not been very much. Wait a minute. I take that back. I did see, I wasn't there. But there was something he did recently. He did a show. Actually, he held, there was a show that they did right around, it was like 2020, and it was like kind of a backyard type of deal where they were promoting black wrestling after some of the Black Lives Matter stuff. And I believe Caprice wrestled on that show. But he's not somebody I've seen wrestle a whole lot, but I've always heard how good he is. And you and I obviously love him on commentary. And so I'm really excited to see him.
It should be interesting. This should be like a different kind of match. I mean, I don't know anything about not that I didn't know, I guess I just didn't think about it much because I'm used to him being a broadcaster, not a wrestler, but it makes sense. So
yes,
I'll be very interested to see.
Yeah, he wrestled in ROH, and he, because he lives here in Charlotte, and so he used to come to PWX shows sometimes. He would come watch Darius wrestle, actually. And so he wrestled, and then he kind of helped. Then that's one of the things they talked about in this interview that he did with Suge. Like, he helped train a lot of the guys that are on Team Charlotte. And so he's very invested in the local Charlotte scene. And so, it's great that he has
really cool though. That's so nice to hear that he like supports his community. That's like an Alex Shelley thing. He's here like doing stuff too.
Yeah.
Those guys need to be out there to help foster the next generation.
Yeah. And so I think that's one of the things that's really cool that Caprice is getting to wrestle for this title in Charlotte, in a place where it's his hometown. It's a title that means that, he wishes that I would recommend definitely going to watch the interview. It's about 15 minutes. It is on Ashe's YouTube channel. They posted clips on Twitter, which is what I saw the first time. I saw just a clip, like a preview of the interview, and it was getting a little testy. And I was like, ooh, I got to go watch the whole thing. And I didn't have a chance to until yesterday. And I was like, no, I got to watch this. And I was like, oh, this is going to be good. I'm ready to see, especially because Caprice has a little bit of a chip on his shoulder. To prove that he can still, just because he's behind the commentary desk doesn't mean that he can't still go in the ring. And he wants to go. And he was like, this title, we didn't have this title 20 or 30 years ago. And, and it's just, he had some really amazing points, and kind of put a little dig on Suge for sometimes not wrestling under his name, because it was a little dig at the Pineapple Pete reference. And it was a nice little, he got to him a little bit, I think, with that. But yeah, so it just, take 15 minutes to go watch it, because I think it's really cool. So I can't wait for Ashe. And so definitely make sure to follow them, and we'll keep you updated too, because I will definitely say, because I'm definitely going to try to do media stuff with them again. And even if I wasn't doing media stuff, I loved that first show so much. And again, really I will support anything that Darius does. And so I will definitely be talking about it some more. And hopefully we can get somebody, once it gets closer to the show, maybe we can get some more, because we had, if you missed it, we had Darius and Suge on to promote the show. So maybe we'll get some other wrestlers to come by and come talk about it.
That'd be awesome. They were so nice. They were so generous.
They were so generous with their time. They stayed with us for like an hour. It's
so much. I love that. It's so worth listening to. Like, if you missed it, go back and check it out. It's one of our like most fun episodes, I think, because we actually like. What I love about a lot of wrestlers these days is they're as big a wrestling nerd as you are. So
right.
it really
Yeah.
ends up just you end up nerding out a lot with wrestlers about
Yes.
wrestling. And I think that that's a lot of fun. It makes it even more engaging because you're just like, they're also big wrestling nerds. They're just as one of the things about that, you know, in reading this book, and I'm not quite done, but is that because they didn't go out and party, the Young Bucks were not partiers. They would stay back, and they ended up having a little group of people that would sort of hang back with them too, and they would like hang out in someone's hotel room or at a place or whatever, and but they would like be sharing like wrestling stuff and talking about wrestling moves and you know, you think it would be possible for me to do this with an extra flip and just and I'm like, that's kind of fun because it's like they really are. It's a whole different world with the way that the talent works now because they are nerds.
Yeah.
And talent.
Right.
So
yes. And before we get to the other really big story of the week, I want to circle back to Josiah shared a great little story and said that when he worked at his local indie doing social media, one of the scary monster hills randomly decided to chase me around the ring. He whispered, "Run." So I did. A kid was so worried about me. He said the kid in the front row checked on me to make sure I was okay. It's so cute. That's adorable. I love that. That's so cute. Yeah,
well, they sort of still have like the Santa thing where I mean, you know, it's still real to them. So it's like, you know, that the kayfabe thing hasn't like fully matured in them, like so they're still like whoa, is he really? And I mean, especially with today's wrestling and how much like bleeding and props and all kinds of craziness that goes on, but I just love that. Like, it's really cool. And I like to see how the kids, I mean, you always want to know what the younger like generations think about where it's at, because those are going to be the future of keeping it alive.
Yeah. And we've seen, and it's kind of cool too, because like Brad has shared with us, like Kathy's kind of story, like how she hated NJF and then she's gradually grown on her gradually. Yeah. And especially he's had some of the character change as well, but like, so it's interesting to see like how kids kind of evolve and like they're sometimes really, really hate a wrestler, but the more they watch them and the more their story changes, and sometimes that changes their opinion of them as well. Or as they get older, they kind of realize, oh, you know, maybe they weren't so bad to begin with. And so it's cool to kind of see that evolution too.
Well, and they haven't seen they haven't seen angles done over and over, so they don't have as much like where we can all go, oh, well, we can see where this is going, and they're doing this thing, and whatever. So they still haven't gotten to that point, so they're still like, it's awesome. It's so much fun. Cool. It makes me feel young again.
Yes, and so one of the exciting things, hopefully, that some of these younger people are going to be able to see is going to be Mustafa Ali and his world tour that he's about to embark on. So the 90-day non-competes were up on the 21st. So there are about 20-something wrestlers who are now free agents. Some of them we heard kind of making some noise, like when I was at DPW a few weeks ago. MXM, which is Mason. Well, the former Mace. He's now Mason Madden. He and Mansoor showed up at DPW. They exchanged some words with Filthy Tom, and now I have heat with them because they said that they told Filthy Tom and West Coast Wrecking Crew that they were going to fuck them up. So West Coast Wrecking Crew and MXM will be wrestling at DPW next month, and they'd already been announced for Mansoor's doing he's doing GCW. They'd already been announced for Effie's Big Gay Brunch, so they'd already been kind of filtering stuff out before they were technically, I guess, free agents. They weren't quite there yet. And then like we've heard like Top Dollar, he had already been announced for a GCW show and I think a couple other things. And then Mustafa, and then even now actually before we even get to Mustafa, there was Nick Nemeth, who was Dolph Ziggler. He's been doing comedy shows with his brother. There've been some rumors that AEW has some plans for him potentially. And so there was kind of a, well, maybe he'll go there. He is like, I think he was announced for a show in Puerto Rico as well. But then Mustafa was one of the people who has been very silent, has not really talked a whole lot about anything as far as wrestling goes. Then on the Friday, not this past Friday, but the Friday before, he just tweeted out, it said 12:21 at 12:21 p.m. Eastern time. And so I remembered, on Friday, I was like, oh, it's like, and we got a little over an hour. And so we were talking about it in one of the Slack groups. We were like, especially because one of our friends is also a really big Mustafa fan as well. And she was like, so we were all just kind of waiting. And then the video popped up. And like, before I even watched it, I went ahead and just sent it to the group chat because I was like, they're going to want to see this too. And so good. So if you haven't seen it, Mustafa has kind of tried to do this character before. It's kind of a political it's kind of like a political candidate type of thing. And he has tried to do it while he was in WWE. There's some things that came out so that he that kind of scared certain people. They didn't like him doing a political type of thing and they made him scrap it. So he's kind of had this character on the back burner, and he's talked about how, like, so in the video, he talks about how wrestling has been taken over by gatekeepers and things like that. And then he flashes up different people. So the very first person he pops up is Kazuchika Okada. And I was like, holy shit. Then it pops up and there's Will Ospreay and Speedball, Vikingo, Matt Cardona.
Not really gatekeepers.
But he was, well, it's not just gatekeepers. There's other, no, but he's talking, there's just, you need to watch the video.
All right, I'll watch it.
But it's not just gatekeepers,
matter.
but it's just certain things that what he's talking about goes with the video. So it's just very interesting what he's doing. A video, I was already hyped. Then like immediately after announcements stopped going, wrestling promotions, they started promoting him. Like the very first thing is he's going to GCW, and then he's going to Defy. He's going to Paris. He's going He's going to C4 up in Toronto. So I tagged Zion. I was like, stuff is coming your way. and I think he had seen it. And then there was like, so he's just going. So he posted. There's a tweet that he's got, and it says, and so the hashtag that he's using is in Ali We Trust, and he's got this really great, like kind of a campaign picture. It says Mustafa Ali and it says World Tour. It says January 2024. And so it has all the dates and all the places. So January the 6th, he will be in Paris for APC Catch. Then he's going to be in GCW. Then he's going to be at Texas Wrestling Cartel. He's going to be at Demand Lucha, C4, North Shore Pro Wrestling, Jimmy's World Order. And then he's going to be in London at Progress. And I think the Progress show, I believe he's wrestling Leon Slater. So we're starting to find out who his opponents are going to be. And then he's released a couple other places where we don't have dates yet. Like yesterday, it came out that he will be wrestling at AML, which is here in North Carolina. They typically don't. They were rivals of PWX. And even though PWX doesn't run anymore, they don't really run the Charlotte area, so they typically run in Winston-Salem. So I'm guessing that's where Mustafa's going to be. They haven't announced anything beyond he's coming to AML, so we don't know the dates yet. But he's wrestling. So one of the first matches that was announced is him versus Speedball is happening, which I cannot wait for. But then there's another match. It's a four-way. And it is, let me see if I've got the graphic because the graphic blew on. Yeah, so here he's wrestling for Dreamwave, which is in Illinois. And it is Mustafa versus Gringo Loco versus Vikingo versus Penta.
Whoa.
What? And it is for, no, I don't know. Maybe this is, it's for the Dreamwave Alternative Championship, which Vikingo has. So it's for Vikingo's title. And then Mustafa is wrestling Gringo Loco in GCW, which I cannot wait to see. And he's wrestling Trey Miguel somewhere. He's wrestling, I feel like there's a couple other, there's another match and he's wrestling, and it's I think it's Vikingo and Jack Cartwheel, I believe, is in the match that I
Nice.
saw. But Vikingo, so it's interesting. Speedball and Vikingo are both people who were in that video, and he has matches with them. So now, and I had even tweeted before those announcements came out, I tweeted, if Mustafa is wrestling every person in that video, then he is going to be the wrestler of 2024. I was like, just go ahead and give it to him. My friend said, just go ahead and put him on the cover of PWI. He's going to be the PWI #1 wrestler next year. Just go ahead and start your booking your photo shoot now. And so that makes me curious because Okada is in it and so is Will Ospreay. Where is he going to wrestle them? Okada doesn't do indies that I'm aware of. So that where is this going to happen if it happens? Ospreay clearly could happen in AEW, could still happen in Rev Pro, could even happen in New Japan. And I think it was Walker said that he was looking at the dates and he was like, he doesn't have February dates announced yet, or not February. He's like, he doesn't have certain dates announced yet. I hope he's in BOSJ. And let me tell you, if that happens, because like he started out,
that would be so good. That would be such a perfect place for him to go. Oh my gosh, you just made me realize how bad I want that.
I was like, Walker, speak it into the universe, please, because
you just okay. Walker and you just made me realize how badly I want that to be a thing.
Yeah,
that's a great idea.
I would love to see him in BOSJ.
Please do that.
I think he'd be incredible because obviously he started out
one of my favorite things. Oh.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Yes. So I was like, now I need this to happen. Please let it happen. And it sounds like Mustafa's kind of going to go. Yeah. It sounds like he's going the Matt Cardona route where he's just taking the indie world, just taking wherever he wants to go and making his money. And who knows if he'll end up signing a contract anywhere or, perhaps that's where he faces Will Ospreay. Maybe it's at Wembley. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of things, but I mean, it's just that the possibilities are out there. And I'm so excited for Mustafa. I have been a longtime fan of his ever since I saw him in CWC. He's been not treated well in WWE. There was obviously the situation where apparently Vince wanted to do something that he found extremely racist. He told him no.
Shocking.
Tried to quit. They wouldn't let him.
Let him go.
And they made him stay home for like a year.
Mm-hmm.
Then they bring him back and put him in Retribution.
Mm-hmm.
And then they just they never quite could get it right with him. And so I cannot wait I was so hyped for like an hour after watching the video and then watching all the announcements, and I was just like, and I can't wait to see he's gonna kill it in Defy, and I was like, man, he could do he could do PWG if he wanted to.
We got to see him in Evolve. He came through on one of our cards, nice. And I have pictures that might even be on the Powerbombshells account that are, and he was so great. It's just so great.
I saw him in when 205 was still a thing when it was filming
after SmackDown.
Yeah, I don't think I saw him at NXT. I think I only saw him at the 205 live taping.
He came through on one of our Evolve shows, and it was absolutely amazing because I can't remember who he wrestled. I feel like he wrestled Adam Cole that night or something.
Oh wow, that would be incredible.
God. I think it was something. Maybe those are two separate. We saw both of them. I just can't remember when. Because towards the end, we started getting just so many good people were coming.
Oh, I bet you did.
Oh my God, we were just getting spoiled so bad. That's when Alex Shelley just showed up at a show one night when Kushida was there. And they just stood in the ring, and he put over Kushida like crazy because Alex Shelley, as we've said, as we've proven throughout this, he's like the coolest person ever.
Yeah, and so WWE came to town to do. I don't remember if it was a pay-per-view or what they were here for. We didn't go, but Mustafa did a signing at a Walmart the day before, and so Nikki and I went. And stood in line forever, and I wore my Cedric shirt. He's like, "Who's that guy?" I think you know what? I think he recorded it too, and I feel like he tweeted it or he sent it to Cedric or something, and he's like, "Who's that guy?" He's like, "I don't know him," but he was so nice, and I have pictures with him, and it's funny because I thought we were taking normal pictures, and I didn't see until I looked at my phone later. He's making faces. He was like has my arm twisted, so it looks like I am like arm wrestling. It made it look like I was beating him up.
So
like
cool.
It's so funny.
I
like I didn't.
Guys.
Yeah, Mustafa is like I'm a fan of him in the ring, but more than that, I'm a fan of him as a person. He is just an incredible human being.
One of the good ones. Accounts.
And I've always said, I've tweeted it a million times when he was in WWE that we need Mustafa, but we do not deserve him. I still feel that way.
I'm glad that he's going to be able to spread his wings and be the kind of wrestler that he wants to be, and not the marginalized WWE stereotype bullshit.
Me too.
Because I mean, so many good wrestlers have gone through there, and they've done that to them, and it's gross. I mean,
and I'm glad that
why I don't watch.
And I'm also very glad that Mustafa he's still in his prime. They didn't, because that's some of the things that we talk about, that some of those people, their years get wasted. I mean, of course, I'm glad that they get paychecks, and please don't get me wrong about that. But as far as in-ring stuff,
but if you want to be wrestling and you're just sitting in catering or at home or at a hotel,
right?
That
and
you can't
it's the
afford.
fact that it's the fact that he was trying to leave and they would not allow him to leave, and so they held him.
Yeah, but they were doing it out of spite because he wouldn't do their racist angle. So fuck that.
Yeah. Yes. So that's why I know.
Demonetized. Cut it out.
Listen, for
someone
that,
super chat us quick. Get demonetized.
Right. That would probably be worth it. But yeah, so I cannot wait to see what he does and where he shows up. And it's fun. Like, that's the type of stuff that, like, I think a lot of us love in wrestling, is like, where is he going to show up next?
Yeah.
And, like, especially when it's somebody like Mustafa, who I think a lot of people feel the same way about. They love him. They feel like he was mistreated and he was misused. And so they want him to go be successful at whatever he does. And luckily for us, he's going to go the indie route for a little while. And who knows how long that lasts. And maybe he will show up in BOSJ. And maybe after BOSJ, maybe that's where he faces Okada. Or maybe Okada decides that he's going to do an indie somewhere. And that's how we get it. But I need that. Now that I've seen
AEW, and then he can wrestle in AEW.
Maybe he goes to AEW.
I mean, the possibilities out there right now. So
yeah, well, that's true. If he signs with AEW, and even if he doesn't, there's Forbidden Door. And so there's a lot of really cool things, and I can't wait to see what Mustafa does. And I'm glad to see this reaction that he's been getting. I've seen nothing but positive things about it. People are excited, except for maybe Matt Cardona, who just said okay and put a roll eye emoji in that video. But yes, I can't wait. I'm so happy for Mustafa, and I cannot. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it now. It's December 24th, 2023, but I'm just gonna go ahead and say Mustafa Ali is gonna be the wrestler of 2024. That's my big bold prediction, and I'm gonna stick with it.
Bold predictions for 2024. I don't have one, but I'll take that. That's a good one.
When we will do at some point, because we were talking about we have to do our best of 2023 at some point. I guess that'll be the first show of the year, because we got to do, obviously we got to do our pre-show next week, and we need to devote. I was like, for the best of 2023 stuff, we'll need time to devote. So that might be our.
That would be like a 16-hour show, and no one needs that.
Right. Yes. So it'll go into the pay-per-view.
It'll be like, we're not fans of yours anymore. That's the rest. That's all that we can. That's
they're enough. Gonna end us that. They're gonna end us at episode 99 or 98 if we do that, and we're we're right on the cusp of 100 episodes. So we gotta make it there. So hopefully people won't. They won't get mad at us then. But yes. So. I'm very excited.
And I want to make one more mention, just one quick mention of this, because an era is ending, and I'm reading this book, and I saw this news today. Dana Massey decided not to sign a new contract with AEW merchandising, which I found like shocking. I didn't see any reasons. I would assume, based on some of the stuff I'm reading, that she wants to go be a mom and just take her time and do that stuff.
Sure.
But it's literally the end of an era. Like, they revolutionized merchandise for wrestlers and helped
Mhm.
build Pro Wrestling Tees the way that it is today. And she was such a huge piece of that. She was the one bringing the boxes to the post office and packing everything up and making
Sure.
sure it was personalized. And
Mhm.
it's crazy, but I wanted to give her a shout out because that's a lady that's done an amazing amount of, like, when they first started their website and everything, it was her. They would like
Mhm.
give the stuff to her and she built the website. She figured
Sure.
out how to work the store. She was the one that encouraged them to work with, it was Colt Cabana's friend who started 1 Hour Tees.
Right.
And then that ultimately became Pro Wrestling Tees. I mean, it's
Right.
still 1 Hour Tees, but
Right.
just the whole idea, the whole infrastructure, they were very much a part of revolutionizing that. And she was very much spearheading that because they had to they were wrestling because they needed money.
Yeah.
And I mean,
Right.
part of the reason that they worked so hard on doing this stuff with merch was because they were trying to make as much money as they could to take care of their family.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
and I mean, it's just supportive wife, great mom, and like a revolutionary and part of like merchandising in the business. And so I just, it's about like, I hope that she's like doing happy things and stuff because they're
Yeah, see, and
reselling and
I
everything.
do. There are, yeah, I see some. Has definitely done a lot, but I think at this point AEW is so big that they have got to
She can
step
finally
their.
go be a mom. She can.
She can,
They've
and then, but I
reached.
think merchandising needs, yeah, and they need to scale it up. Yeah, let her be a mom, and then they can scale up what they need to because there have been a lot of times where, which I don't think this is directly involved with her, but there's been like not enough merchant shows, and there's been hours and hour lines at merches, and I get it. I don't know, a lot of that may not have anything to do with her, but I think AW is at a growth point where they need to expand their merch stuff. They don't have like there's certain things that merch needs besides some of the t-shirts. Like they don't sell masks. Like they should be selling Danhausen masks. They should be selling Sting masks. They should be selling Penta masks and things like that. And so,
I think
and
that
again,
that's
I'm
a
not,
huge undertaking, and I
it
mean,
is, and that's a lot for one person. And like you said, she's a mom, and her husband is already on the road a lot as it is. And I'm sure, I can't imagine the hours that this woman puts in and has put in. And Brad says, their merch has, for the merch game for AW has been a big blind spot, especially at live shows. They never have enough variety or stock. AW's really outgrown some of these original behind the scenes people. Yeah, and
and I think that's exactly it. It's like I'm just in the like because I'm in the process of reading about the amount of work that she's
sure.
put in, them too, but she is such a huge part of like getting them where they are today.
Agreed.
And so I was like, but I also, they're very family oriented people, their entire family. And, a lot of what they were doing was, I have to provide for my family. I have to do this stuff.
Sure.
So I'm like, wow, in a way, because of some of like the things that they thought of, I'm like, in a way, they've reached a point where they can say, yes, stay home with the kids and do the homeschooling stuff like we did, or and like, and make sure that because they really are family
and I
guys
could
who try
definitely
and
commend her for that,
maximize
for
their
everything that
family
she's done up until this.
time.
Right.
So I'm
right.
it's just I had to give her a huge I saw the news this morning and
Yeah, I saw it. Yes, I saw it last or
huge
yesterday.
shout out to her for being a lady like who helped change the business. A part of the business.
Yes, for sure. Brad, yes, God, I agree to move them away from PWT. We shouldn't have to wait 2 weeks for shirts to ship and a $29.99 shirt being made $50 by the time you check out as gross. Yeah, I don't shop from Pro Wrestling Tees for a number of reasons. The owner of the company is very questionable and has done he's
okay. I did that.
You can just look, oh no, you can look him up and look up Black Lives Matter, and that will tell you a lot about this dude.
Geez.
Yeah, I don't shop from them, and
understandable.
Their shipping is too expensive, and then their shirt quality has gone down. Like I had a shirt that I wore literally 5 times and got a hole in the armpit. And so their their quality of t-shirts has gone down.
It's because the market now is saturated with other companies that do exactly what they do.
I haven't shopped with PWT, and so I don't shop through Shop AEW because that's who is behind all of this. So I haven't bought an AEW shirt in a very long time because A, I don't want to support that guy, and B, their merch quality sucks and their shipping is terrible. And Josiah says lucha masks always fly off the shelf, though. In the case of Penta, AAA may own the trademark of his mask, and thus they're only ones to sell it. I could see that, but I don't believe there are Danhausen or Sting masks, and those should be. Maybe there's a trade. Well, no, Sting should have that trademark, I think, because he's Sting.
Maybe I don't know.
So,
they were weird with merch, so merch is a weird.
How do they not? How
world.
do they not have MJF scarves or Orange Cassidy sunglasses? Yeah, and I've seen that. I've
that
seen that argument
is
too, Brad. I've seen that, but then you look at but then you look at the Young Bucks merch who have towels and they've got t-shirts and they've got like all these ridiculous. I mean, like they have all of these things.
Everyone should have towels. That's a Japanese thing. Like the towel thing should be a no-brainer. There should be Danhausen plushies.
I think there are a couple other wrestlers. There were like
Thunder Rosa plushies.
Yeah, so the merch game I think could step up, and that again, that's not. I'm not blaming Dana for that. No. But I'm just saying that I think this could be a really good thing if they can step up their merch game. Step up to, because the company has grown to the heights that it has. They're going into year 5. They're at Wembley. Like they need to have their merch is something that needs to step up, and they need to have a lot more options. And like you said, like
maybe this is her recognizing that that's too big an undertaking for her, and that it's time. I mean, because she has. I mean, from everything that I've read so far, and the way that they talk about her, both sides, like both brothers, both her, both Matt as her husband, but also Nick as her brother-in-law or whatever.
Right.
They've nothing but praise for her, because she basically like did all these things, like she figured it out, and so it's
definitely.
And so in my mind, I felt like when I read it, I was like, oh, she's finally gonna get to go home and be the mom that they were hoping.
Great. I hope that she.
I'm totally that's wild speculation. I have no idea. She decided not to sign her contract when it came up. Who knows? But I don't know. My gut feels like, just based on reading, that's just means she's going to be spending more time with her kids and helping them grow and fostering that.
Especially with their dad on the road all the time. Like I can only imagine how hard that is.
So she maybe knows that they're leveling up.
Yeah,
and that's big. You almost need a whole division in some ways.
Yeah, yes, that too. Brad said if you want a soft shirt, you have to pay an extra $3.99. If then a double XL is an extra $3.99. And he said he's gotten some double XL shirts that fit like an XL, so it's a crap shirt. Shoot, if the size is even right, and they're made on demand, and so there are no returns, I believe, because of that. And so
it's the print on demand model is interesting. I've learned a lot about it because I'm trying to figure out our merch, but that sucks.
It does,
because some of the places that you can source from for reasonable, you don't need to mess with that so much. Like I can print something on demand for you if I wanted to, through a service that I found. That's one that my friend uses when he does his dropship stuff, and it's helpful because they handle all the packaging and things that he has built in.
Different if
but that place doesn't have. They calculate the shipping based on where you live, and it's not like ridiculous. They don't. What ends up happening a lot of times is they'll calculate the shipping and then tack on, like they'll do what they do with the main retail price. So it's not just that they're tacking on the markup for retail, they're also tacking on a markup on shipping, which is kind of crummy when you consider that most companies do free shipping, or just at least based on where I live.
And it's just, and those things are great for us and for like maybe some independent wrestlers who aren't very big, but then for a company like AEW, like they should be, they need they need
their own independent. They're too big for something like that now.
Yes.
I mean, it's great for an individual wrestler, I think.
From being just a t-shirt company. They've outgrown that.
Oh, the hot topic. They've way outgrown it. It turns out they are not just a t-shirt company.
They are not.
But
I want to go back up here to something Josiah said that made me laugh. He said, it's one of the things that you guys are known for, making people mad. And he said he was just kidding.
That's true. It's true.
It's true.
We make people crazy. All right.
But then we get to make it crazy twice this week because we will be back on Saturday.
Correct.
We will be here.
Double the trouble, double the madness, double the apple cider spicy.
Our Christmas gift to you is two shows this week. It's also your New Year's gift as well.
Are they?
Because we'll be here
week now.
Yeah. So Saturday, we will be here at our normal time. We'll be here at 1:00. It'll just be a day earlier, and we'll send out reminders. But we will be here to do the pre show for World's End because I have some thoughts, and I'm sure Mel has some thoughts.
We'll see how these.
I will say I don't want to get into it too much because there's a lot to talk about, but I will say I'm pleased to see 2 whole ass women's matches on the main card. There's 2 title matches happening.
Wow, and they're planned ahead even. Holy cow.
Yeah, they're not. It's not even on the buy. Well, maybe we'll get it'll be there. Hopefully we'll get another match on the buy-in because somewhere we don't see Chris Statlander and Willow Nightingale on this card yet, and they're both from Long Island. I thought that's where I assume this is going to be a buy-in match. So we'll have 3 whole women's matches, but we have 2 whole women's matches on their own, no 4-way matches on this, 2 individual women's matches for their titles. I can't believe it.
I mean, it's a
miracle.
In the 5 hours Tony commits to every single pay-per-view that he could put 2 matches on there.
He could actually put a third and put Willow and Chris and Diamante and Mercedes on here, but I'm not going to go crazy here.
I
will take my Christmas miracle as I get it.
You're just fine. Just don't get greedy, all right?
Okay, I'm sorry. Don't send through. Yes,
totally kidding.
But I will say that because they officially announced Abaddon versus Julie, and another thing I'm excited about, which we'll talk more about. It's a woman that they've never. Abaddon's never had a pay-per-view match before in AEW. It's a new woman.
Nice.
As far as unless I'm forgetting, I don't believe she's ever had a match or they've ever had a match on AEW, which is one of the things we've harped on a lot is that they focus on the same women over and over. So I'm glad to see Abaddon getting the spot regardless of, even if it looks super obvious on who's going to win, I'm very happy that Abaddon is getting the spot and that they are taking the effort to put in some other women that typically don't get attention from them. So that I am also very excited about. So I will be cautiously optimistic, but I will, as much as we do complain about the women's division, I will talk about the positive things too. So
right.
I'm very glad about that. There is a media call this week, but I believe I have something going on at the same time. So I don't believe that I will be on the media call live tweeting. Or if I do, I may possibly only be on it for about 20 minutes or so. So I haven't really decided yet, but he's probably going to be glad. He'll be like, she's not going to ask me about Athena anymore, at least. But depending on what happens on Wednesday with the ROH tag team titles, even though he probably won't answer it because he didn't really answer it the week before either, or for the final battle either. But
Mr. Political dance around the question guy, he should go into politics. He is very much a deflector.
Very much likes to not answer. Oh, he is. So I was like, that's my other big because I was like, if they don't do something with these damn titles, I was like, they don't drop these damn titles or vacate them, especially because it seems like they're putting Men of the Year back together in ROH. Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page have reunited, and they talked about it again this week. They have seemingly said that they want to go for those ROH tag titles. They want to. So I was like, if they don't, I doubt they're going to lose them on Wednesday. I would like to whoever the Devil's minions are, but so I was like, if they don't vacate those damn titles, especially now that not that I necessarily want Men of the Year to jump ahead of teams who've been killing it, but I just need those titles to not be on people who don't defend them.
I think it's being annoying. Sorry about that.
We'll get into all that next week or in 6 days.
6 days from today.
I'll hold that thought for 6 days.
You'll be all right.
Yes. And then we'll end the year with a pre show. So
you'll build up all your angst about it, and then it'll blow up like a big streamer on New Year's Eve. Except it'll be a day early, and it'll be awesome. And you can all witness it live here at 1:00.
Witness Saturday. Meltdown on Saturday over the World Tag Team title, the ROH World Tag Team titles. I told, and it was joking about, because now we also don't know what they're doing with the AEW tag team titles. And I was like, why don't you just treat them like the ROH titles and not defend them on the pay-per-view? Because I don't want whatever they're
How
about to
about
give
we
me.
get rid of some of these titles that we don't need?
I'm not I was like, that I don't mind. I was like, I don't want to see Jericho defending the title. And I hate this random crap where they are not defending it with the tag team partners. Then cancel
Jericho
the damn
needs
match.
to, like, Fozzy needs to go on tour, I think.
But that doesn't stop him. He still
No, I mean, they need to go on a really, really long tour.
The last time they went on tour, he made sure that he had Wednesdays free so that he could come film.
I know, but he needs to, like, commit this time, is what I'm saying.
I think we just need a break from him, and we need a break.
Fozzy needs to take a serious, focused tour for a long time.
It's an unspecified time when Kenny will be back. Actually, when Kenny comes back, they just need to get rid of the Golden Jets altogether. Just scrap the whole idea.
True that.
Just scrap it all.
That has been, if they don't mention it, wouldn't it be fun if he just came back and they didn't mention it and they just we never saw it again? And it was
listen, he didn't even get the damn team. I joked and said that he didn't get the name of the tag team right because even he doesn't want to be in the tag team.
I just think it would be funny if he came back and they just never mentioned it ever again, and it
that's
just faded into, and it's like,
how
okay.
I would play it. I would never mention it. I would never mention it.
Never mention it again. Act like it never happened. Like Adam.
Even though
Cole
I think they did come out with the
murdered
Golden Jet shirt, but they did come out with the Y2 AJ shirts in WWE, and I think they wrestled one match and then they turned on each other, and they still had that shirt. So the Golden Jets can have their little shirt, and we'll just pretend it never happened.
But we don't have to. It's just like that family secret that you just never mention. Like no one ever.
Yeah, we just don't talk about it.
We don't talk about that.
And then in 5 years, like, remember that one time when they tried to make Jericho and Kenny Omega a team and nobody wanted them to, so they just dropped it?
And we'll all be like, yeah, we don't talk about that. Thanks.
No.
Thanks. Yep. We all remember that happening. Now shut up.
Exactly.
Don't ever mention that. Don't ever say those 3 words again.
Exactly. The Golden Jets are not, that was the figment of your imagination. But yeah, so I think that is it for us. Again, make sure that you're subscribed to the YouTube channel because there's going to be some live streaming this week. I think, is the Dynamite show they're still going to do this week, right?
I think that I read in our today that Paul said that they were going to be live.
Yeah, so I believe that they will be on. I know the Wrap recorded early.
And the Boom also intends to do their normal time this week. I don't know if they're going to be on the network live, but I know that they are doing their show on the.
So there will still be plenty. So if you're getting tired of your family and want to hear about wrestling, then come to come to Powerbombshells, but come to Fight Game Media YouTube and where you listen to podcasts, and you can download those shows where you listen and check out those wonderful shows that we're still putting out for you even on a holiday week. And make sure you check that out and come hang out with us on Saturday at 1:00, but not on Sunday. Because if you come next Sunday at 1:00, we will not be here. You can watch the replay of the pay-per-view that already happened, but you can see if our predictions were right.
Which is fine too. I mean, if that's what you're into, but we'd rather have you here live and talk to us and that stuff. So, all right. Well, everybody have a merry holiday.